Hi there, welcome back to our social emotional learning series. We are down to our final two competencies. So today we are going to talk about bullying prevention. So let's go ahead and start off with what does that mean? So a good definition that you can use with kids is that bullying prevention is all about um, finding strategies to use that will reduce aggressive, repeated, and unwanted behavior. And this definition is important because the word bully or bullying gets thrown around a lot. And particularly within the context of schools, bullying is something very specific. Um, and that's not to say that, kids picking on each other is okay, but just we want to be careful using that term um, when maybe it's not exactly bullying. So bullying is really when there is aggressive, repeated, and unwanted behavior that often targets one person or the same person or people over and over and over again. So that's kind of a good place to start. In fact, as far as our activities go, is helping kids understand the difference between bullying and then just some of those other not so great behaviors, right? When kids are just picking on each other. And again, not that those behaviors are okay, but helping them understand where it crosses the line into bullying is going to be important. So you can create a poster or an anchor chart with the signs of bullying. So really focusing in on some of those key words that I just talked about, the repeated nature of the behaviors, that it's unwanted, it's aggressive. Teaching kids about above the line and below the line behaviors. This is a great visual, especially for younger kids, where if you make a poster, you can just draw a line straight across in the middle of the paper or the poster. And above the line activity or behaviors, excuse me, are the positive behaviors, right? The ones that we wouldn't want to hide from our parents or the grown-ups around us. And then below the line behaviors are the ones that are more negative and the ones that if we're behaving in such a way, we're probably not going to want our teachers, our parents, our grandparents to see us behaving that way because we're more than likely going to get in trouble. So then listing, what are some of the above the line behaviors? Helping out a friend, letting somebody, come in front of them in the lunch line, or giving them our chair when they don't have any place to sit, things like that. And then below the line behaviors are those more aggressive, unwanted behaviors. We can practice this particularly with older kids by analyzing and discussing different events that we see or we read about in books, TV shows, movies. So let's look at this thing that happened in this movie. Was that bullying? Why was it bullying? What were some of the behaviors? What could this person have done to prevent it, or the people around them have done to help them? That's a great way of using kind of pop culture, particularly, which older kids usually relate to and kind of appreciate those real life examples. The toothpaste activity, you can find a ton of information about this online and activities that go along with it and directions and all sorts of things. The toothpaste activity is one that is used in a lot of classrooms. And the idea is this: you ask kids, without really explaining anything, to squeeze out a little tube of toothpaste, like just a small one, onto a paper plate or, whatever. And they don't know this, but the toothpaste represents harmful words, the words that we put out into the universe toward other people, right? The words that we speak to our friends, our family members, our teachers, whomever. And then you give kids, you can use toothpicks, you can use Q-tips, something like that. And you ask them, again, they don't really know what's going on at this point, but you ask them to put all of the toothpaste back into the tube using the toothpick. And I have seen this activity be incredibly successful from kindergarten all the way up through middle school. Um, I have yet to see a class of kids that didn't really enjoy this activity. Yes, it's a little bit messy, but this is sort of one of those unicorn activities that you can use with most age levels, and they really enjoy it. So at the end of the activity, basically, the premise is you can't get all the toothpaste back into the tube, right? You can get some of it. It's not easy, right? It's quite a task to get the toothpaste back into the tube using a toothpick or whatnot. And so then that opens up a discussion about our words and how they can be harmful. And even if you take them back and you apologize to your best friend for what you said, there are always going to be kind of remnants or traces of those words that are left behind on our heart. And we can't get rid of those. So, like I said, you can find tons of additional information about that activity and specific directions and questions and dialogue and all of that if you want by Googling it. And then another important piece of bullying prevention is helping kids understand digital citizenship, excuse me. So explaining the rules of what is digital citizenship, what does that mean? And in maybe in your family or in your classroom or your school, having a contract for the things that we agree to do and not do, as our online persona, I guess you could say. So that kids need to understand that that plays into bullying as well. There's bullying in terms of aggressive behaviors, that we think of like hitting and touching and things like that. But then there's also cyberbullying. And so you can kind of draw some parallels between those two ideas as well. All right, bullying prevention books. Unfortunately, there just aren't as many of these as far as picture books. There's lots of strategy books out there and nonfiction books with tips and things like that. And you can certainly find the theme of bullying in a lot of books, but if we're looking specifically at books that are kind of about bullying, picture book wise, there aren't as many really good ones. So here's a short list for you though of some really great ones. One thing to keep in mind that We're All Wonders so is sort of like the primary version of the book Wonder. So if you have kids that are kind of too young for that big chapter book, We're All Wonders is a great alternative to that wonderful chapter book. And then there are a few more on here. Some you may have heard of and others maybe not. All right, so I appreciate you joining me today, and we're going to wrap it all up next time with our last competency of kindness. So I look forward to sharing all of that with you, and I will see you back here next time.